The new theater of the mind. The Bruce Collins Show.
Welcome back to the Bruce Collins Show. We're very glad to have you join us. The Bruce Collins Show normally airs every Friday night at midnight at WWPR 1490 AM. However, this episode we call the bonus round because it has brand new content that will never be heard on AM radio. You can listen to past archives of the Bruce Collins Show at FringeRadioNetwork.com. That's FringeRadioNetwork.com. There's a tab just for the Bruce Collins Show on the Fringe Radio Network website. We would appreciate it if you're able to spread the word for our show by word of mouth, social media, or in whatever creative way you can. Also, we have a Facebook page for the Bruce Collins Show. Please like us there. And you can email the show at bruce_collins_show@AOL.com. Contact us there and let us know how we're doing. Also, and this is a major announcement, brand new, we also have a YouTube page for the Bruce Collins Show. So go to YouTube and seek out the Bruce Collins Show and subscribe right there. We've got about 4 episodes right now up on the Bruce Collins Show page at YouTube. Like I said, you can subscribe to it right now, all free, right there on YouTube. We have a great bonus round this week with guest Nicholas Thurkettle, who along with M.F. Thomas wrote the book Seeing by Moonlight, which is a fictional account of Operation Paperclip and how the U.S. and Russia used Nazi scientists for their space and defense technologies. Also joining us are actors Brett Big Schwag Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow. Brett Wagner was the host of the Speed Channel's show Pastime, and he was the voice of Discovery Channel's Monster Garage, and he has starred in many films and TV programs. And DeeDee Bigelow has also been on many films and many television programs. And this is really another interview with Brett Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow, but we have another interview, and I keep using the word another, so you're going to think there's 3 or 4 different interviews with them. So let me state it like this. This is really interview number 2 with Brett Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow. Interview number 1 will be heard on the regular show the week of February 13th, Friday night, with Patrick Wood. Patrick Wood, Part 2, and Brett Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow. But for this broadcast, the bonus round, we talk specifically about Brett Wagner's acting career and also their opinions of Hollywood. Now, if you want to know what I think, without stupidity, there wouldn't be intelligence. And without ugliness, there wouldn't be beauty. So the world needs me after all. Last week, I wanted to see if my doctor really cared about me, so I rushed in his office without an appointment. I know, kind of crazy. And I told him I have 40 seconds to live. He told me to wait a minute. I said to my doctor, "You, sir, are nothing but a quack." And he said to me, "I'll have you know that I've been practicing medicine for 30 years. And I said, "Practicing? When are you going to do it for real?" And now I'd like to introduce my co-host. He's a former contributing editor for Defense Watch magazine and former contributor to the Michigan Journal. In 2006, Chad ran for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives in Michigan's 14th Congressional District. He served 7 years on active duty with the 82nd Airborne Division, 2nd Infantry Division, and the 5th Special Forces Group. His military service as an infantryman and intelligence analyst took him around the world with service in the countries of Jordan, Egypt, South Korea, and Panama. Chad is a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the American Legion. And I just noticed this bio is totally different from the one I've been using during the week program, so I'll have to drag that one back up again. I don't know where this one came from. Chad is the founder and executive director of Sling and Stone Outfitters, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping disabled veterans experience the outdoors. You can find out more information on his website, chadmiles.com. And he, of course, is radio's lethal weapon, Chad Miles. And he's also the author of the book, If Barbie is So Popular, Why Do You Have to Buy Her Friends? Hi, Chad. Welcome back.
Hey, that book's available on Kindle.
Excellent.
You can You can pare my bio down to like one sentence if you want to, because I think it's way too long.
Well, no, that's okay. I think I like the other biography better, though, that I've been reading. I don't know what happened. I think maybe a shadow person came in there and changed it up.
That's possible. That is possible.
Or an AOL person. I don't know. Now, you said if Barbie is so popular, why do you have to buy her friends? And it's on Kindle. So the best way to make money from a book on Kindle is that book should have book friends.
Book friends.
Isn't that a great idea? Yeah. Now
I didn't write that book, actually. It's ghost written by Frederick Meekins.
Well, there you go.
So.
And that was using my cerebellum, my medulla oblongata.
Your medulla oblongata, boy.
Yeah. Frederick Meekins. Hey, we should give him a plug. I don't think we've ever done that on this show. If you know Frederick Meekins, like I know Frederick Meekins, you should be his friend on Facebook. Right,
I'm going to tell you something. This guy has hands down the funniest Facebook status updates ever.
Very dry wit.
It's hilarious. He's awesome.
And he takes great pictures too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a photographer.
And
amateur photographer.
He's a cat owner like me.
I think he's more of a cat lover.
By the way, you know what? My cat, I've been taking it outside once in a while with a leash. Fortunately, it hasn't run up. But I noticed it has a problem with trees, and I didn't know why. And a lot of dogs like trees, of course, and fire hydrants. But I didn't know why my cat doesn't like trees. But I figured it out. Do you know what part of the tree my cat doesn't like?
The very top.
No, the bark.
Oh!
That was impressive, wasn't it?
That was very impressive. Was that a wolf soundbite, or was that your?
No, that was me.
Your talent. Oh, very good.
Yes, indeed. Hey, I found a news story that I thought was noteworthy. Either that, or I just thought it would take up some time.
Okay, but sure.
Everybody knows about the website, smartphone app Airbnb, which is like bed and breakfast, I think. I've never actually used it. I haven't been in need of a bed and breakfast, just a breakfast. But the Airbnb was launched in 2008, and it connects travelers seeking lodging with individuals offering private facilities at certain prices. So I'm sure many of our listeners have probably used it. Or if not, they can pretend like they used it. Now, about a year ago, entrepreneur Travis Laurendine launched a similar smartphone app, Airbnb. This is true. I'm not making this up. To connect people walking around select cities and needing access to a toilet. Listing residents who make their utilities available with description and price. Hey, you want to make some extra money? Make your toilet available. Laurendine told the New York Post in January that New York City is a promising market, though his two best cities are New Orleans and Antwerp, Belgium. I don't know what the connection is there.
International.
Well, the food in New Orleans is spicy. Need I say more? The prices vary from free to $20, and the facilities range from a sweet-smelling room stocked with reading material to a barely maintained toilet with no lavatory. But, said one supplier, sometimes people really need to go, and this will have to do. And this was from the New York Post, January 18, 2015. And I wonder, Chad, would you rent out your P&P?
Probably not.
Really?
Probably not.
No.
But this is a good idea.
You want to hear a true story that's kind of gross?
Sure.
About toilets?
Sure.
When I was a kid, I lived in Tucson, Arizona, and the ceilings get tarred. Of course the houses there, a lot of them are made out of adobe, and the ceilings get tarred, like that asphalt tar or whatever. And so when it starts getting old, you need to retar it. So we had it retarred, and there's no joke around that part, but we had it done, and obviously the workers needed to use the restroom every once in a while. So apparently my parents weren't checking what was going on, and I went into the bathroom, and all over the toilet was black tar.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't really feel like using it after that. Now, let me ask you this. Oh, go ahead.
Have you ever seen that movie Office Space?
I have.
Yes. Well, there was a real life incident, just like in the movie Office Space. A.K. Verma was an assistant executive engineer working for India's Central Public Works Department in 1990 with 10 years on the job when he went on leave and had still not returned by the end of 2014.
Wow.
When the government finally fired him. He had submitted numerous requests for extensions during the ensuing 24 years, but all were denied, though no agency or court managed to force him back to work. India's bureaucracy, by the way, is generally acknowledged to be among the most dysfunctional in Asia.
Apparently.
So this guy was left work in 1990 and never came back and finally got fired in 2014.
Yeah, and I was thinking, that would have been a long time to be waiting for a reply email, but he was working before email.
Right. In India too. So
yeah.
Is it like passenger pigeons or that's probably unfair to say about India that they're technologically advanced now, but
he missed 24 Christmas parties. How's that possible?
1990. I was
Oh, you were a kid.
19 years old.
Yeah, you were playing with slot cars.
When we left work.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that's amazing.
1990.
Yeah,
Boy.
That's the year I joined the Army.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
That was Saved by the Bell, I think, was on.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, it was, actually.
Crazy, crazy. Hey, I have a couple of crime stories. Or at least one. How about one?
One.
Shane Lindsay, 32 years of age, allegedly robbed the Citizens Bank in New Kensington, Pennsylvania on January 14th. And he ran off down the street. But he was arrested about 15 minutes later, a few blocks away, having stopped off at Easer's Restaurant in Delhi to order chicken and biscuits. That's from the Washington Post. Boy, those chicken and biscuits better be good.
He was hungry.
Yeah.
He was really hungry. You could turn that into a really good marketing.
Yes, you could.
Like a marketing campaign.
Yeah. Order our chicken and biscuits before you're incarcerated.
Yeah, they're so good that you'll stop and eat chicken and biscuits even though you're being chased by the law.
Yeah, if that guy ever gets out on bail, they should hire him to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Chicken and biscuits.
I just love them chicken and biscuits.
They're worth getting caught by the police.
I can't stay away. Okay.
And then have like these dollars dripping down the street, leading the police right to them.
There you are.
Yeah.
Shane.
And then at the end you see the cops at the table with him eating chicken and biscuits.
He's right. These are good.
He tries to sneak out by saying, "I'll be right back."
I'm going to go order some more.
Yeah. Can we take some to go?
Hey, here's another news story that's equally as absurd.
Okay, then it's right for this show.
Rose Ann Balancy, 60, of Great Neck, New York.
Great Neck, New York?
Great Neck.
Wow.
Not mediocre neck, New York. This is Great Neck.
I wonder how many New York cities are named after body parts. Great Neck.
Great Neck, large arm.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Anyway.
I live in Femur, New York.
She last year created a trust fund for her 3-year-old Maltese, which is a dog.
This kind of ties into our story on the last bonus round, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, people who are weirdos with dogs.
Yeah. On the next Geraldo.
The dog's name is Bella Mia. And this trust fund would allow spending of up to $100,000 a year on fashions and spa treatments so that Balancy can pamper the daughter I never had. That's her quote.
Aww.
Bella Mia, now listen to this. This is where it gets really stupid, as if it's not stupid enough yet. Bella Mia reportedly has 1,000 outfits
Ooh.
in her custom-made walk-in closet, including ball gowns along with diamond and pearl jewelry, and she sleeps on her own double bed. Previous News of the Weird reports, this is where the story came. News of the Weird.
Wait 1 minute. I'm calling Boomer the dog right now. I've got a girlfriend for him.
Boomer. This is your sugar mama, Boomer.
No, that was terrible. Anyway.
Previous News of the Weird reports of ridiculously rich dogs involved inheritances, but Balancy still lives with her husband and has 2 adult sons who are said to be fine with their mother's intention to will Bellamia a house in Florida if she outlives Balancy and her 82-year-old husband.
I heard about this all over the place, so this isn't probably going to be news to a lot of people, but did you hear about that zombie cat? It was all over Facebook. They actually buried a cat. There was a... I'm trying to find this story. Anyways, I think this cat was a product of a hit and run, and it was buried, and it actually dug itself out of the grave.
Really?
Yeah, and so they're calling it a zombie cat. Buried kitty believed dead, meows back to life. Now, I'm not rating that story because of some kind of paranormal or zombie actual zombie tie-in. I just found it really strange, and it was very popular. Before we go today, there's one more big story, but in order to give this story justice, I have to have a little theme music before we talk about it. It's about Blackbeard, folks, and his pirate ship.
Exciting and new. Come aboard.
That's right. It's about Blackbeard's pirate ship.
I never realized how awesome the bass line in that song was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's really good. That's good stuff.
It rocks.
Yeah.
You know, the latest story is that they found out that Blackbeard's pirate ship had medical supplies aboard it. The more I read in recent years about Blackbeard's pirate ship, the more I realize it was a lot like a Carnival cruise. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. It's amazing. This article is from Live Science, but I know this story was in several different sources. But of course, Blackbeard was one of the most famous pirates that ever lived, and archaeologists are excavating the vessel that served as the flagship of the pirate Blackbeard, and the medical equipment they've recovered from the shipwreck suggests the notorious buccaneer had to toil to keep his crew healthy. So there you go. And who knows, maybe if they keep digging, they'll find the jacuzzi and the shuffleboard. You just never know about these things.
And who knows what else they would find.
That's right. Treasure.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's right. And coming up next, in a moment, we will have Nicholas Thurkettle speaking about his new book, Seeing by Moonlight. If you go on Amazon, by the way, and go to Seeing by Moonlight by M.F. Thomas and Nicholas Thurkettle, I have to say the cover for this book is really cool. I've read part of the book, but the cover for this book is really cool, I think. And then we also have this week Brett Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow.
I just think Brett Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow are just a really cute couple.
Yeah.
I just have to say that.
Yeah, me too.
And they're I believe they're married.
I think they're getting married. I don't think they're married.
They're
yet.
engaged.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking of I think Brett played a prank on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
A while ago that said, you can edit that part out.
That's okay.
It's not going anywhere, so never mind.
Okay. And Chad, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll be back soon with more hilarious, what is it? Hilarity and hijinks. M.F. Thomas and Nicholas Thurkettle are co-authors of the new Nazi sci-fi thriller called Seeing by Moonlight. Nicholas Thurkettle is a screenwriter, playwright, and author living in Los Angeles, California. He studied theater arts and music at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois, and is a proud member of the Writers Guild of America. Information about his other work, including his forthcoming short story collection, Stages of Sleep, is available at his website, nicholasthurkettle.com, and his last name is Thurkettle, nicholasthurkettle.com. And Seeing by Moonlight, the new book he's written with M.F. Thomas, is getting rave reviews. Kirkus Review says Seeing by Moonlight kicks into high gear at the very start. The book's science fiction element drives the major plot twists, but the most engaging scenes are those in which readers learn the real relationships and histories between the characters. Indie Reader gives Seeing by Moonlight 4.5 stars and calls it an intriguingly dark thriller with enough twists and turns to keep the reader turning pages up until the rather surprising conclusion. And joining us right now is Nicholas Thurkettle. Nicholas, welcome to the Bruce Collins Show.
Thank you so much, Bruce. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on. Now, of course, in all cases, whenever I do a brief introduction, it doesn't do the person justice. Before we delve into your new book, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And also, I love old-time radio, and I know you have something called Earbud Theater, which I listened to the 2013 State of the Union address, and I rather enjoyed this podcast. So tell us a little bit about Earbud Theater, and also tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, of course. Thank you, Bruce. As you said in the introduction, I'm a writer working in film, theater, and on the printed page, basically anywhere that will have me. And I work as an actor as well. And because of having both those skill sets, I do find myself in sort of interesting places to use them every so often. And Earbud Theater is one of the ones that I enjoy most. We're a podcast dedicated to creating original audio dramas in sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. We're trying to be sort of the Twilight Zone for iTunes. Every episode is its own standalone story. And the one you just mentioned, the 2038 State of the Union address, is one that I wrote and directed and performed in that we just put up last week on the same day as the actual State of the Union address. But ours takes place in the future. So it's a great time. We love doing it. We've won a couple of awards. We have some very excited fans out there, and we're always looking to introduce it to new people. So thank you for bringing it up. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's great. And I will be checking it out in the future, too. Now, tell us about how this book came about, Seeing by Moonlight.
Sure. Well, it started with my co-author, Mr. Thomas. He traveled all over the world for his business, and he spent some time in a couple of little towns in Germany called Nordhausen and Peenemünde. And both of these towns are distinct to historians of World War II and people who are real buffs about it, because they both had sites that were important in the Nazis' secret rocketry research program. They were working on stuff there that both led to the V-2 rocket that was a devastating weapon in that war, and some things that never made it off the drawing board, but could have been truly terrifying in unimaginable ways had they actually completed them. And as he toured these sites and got down in the tunnels and looked at some of these projects that they were working on at the time the war was turning against them, he thought to himself, "My God, this sounds like science fiction." And to me, that kind of history and research always makes stories better, because you can tell people, like, no, that part right there, that's based on reality. So he brought me all of this stuff. And this idea he had for a story, and we just started hashing it out together and came up with this adventure that we're both really, really proud of.
Yeah. And again, the book is Seen by Moonlight. I want to talk to you about the scientists and everything, kind of drill down from that. But if you could maybe give our listeners a helicopter view of this book, what is it about?
Sure. Well, it's all about this guy named Alex Pike who sees himself as an American living the American dream. He's owns a successful car dealership. He lives in Mesa, Arizona. He's got a house in the best neighborhood, and he does pretty well at the bars on Friday nights. So, as far as he's concerned, there's not a lot else to want out of life, except for this fact that nags at him that he's an orphan. He was basically brought over to America as a very, very young child from behind the Iron Curtain. He was rescued out of of East Germany and became an American after that. And so he's never quite known where he came from or what his true story was. So a business opportunity takes him to Germany, and really through a mix of what you might call luck and destiny, he ends up stumbling upon the truth about his heritage and finding out that his life and the life of his family has been tied up in this sort of globe-spanning conspiracy that dates all the way back to World War II and a secret Nazi program that's still going on to this day.
So, as your book points out, and we know by history that the United States and the Soviet Union pillaged nearly all of Nazi Germany's best and brightest minds. And so where would our space program be today if this hadn't taken place?
Boy, it's difficult to imagine. It certainly wouldn't bear any resemblance to the one that we have now and the timeline that it operated on. Because just as you say, and we refer to this in the book, both the Americans and the Soviets really kind of just stole a generation of minds out of Germany and put them to work for either side. The OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA, they called it Operation Paperclip, and there were thousands of scientists, and then even more so when you count their families, some of whom were persuaded to come to America, some of whom were taken to America even if they couldn't be persuaded, and some were just exiled away from the sciences for the rest of their life. Not only was this about gaining advantage for the Cold War, but it was also about really taking Germany's military potential and its future potential to build this war machine all over again away.
And as a point of fact, you're quoted as saying that the Antares rocket commissioned by NASA to Orbital Science Corporation that exploded a few months ago, bound for the International Space Station, was essentially full of 1950s Russian parts and technology. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, the Antares rocket was based on a booster. I think it was called the NK-55, which was basically Soviet technology that had been sitting in a warehouse for decades. And the Orbital Services, which was the private government contractor that had this contract to deliver supplies up to the space station, they bought a whole bunch of these boosters and built these rockets out of them. They didn't even have anyone who was qualified to work on them, so they had to sort of contract out to scientists who might understand the technology, because it came out of an entirely different sort of research tree, you might say. And, as they're researching the accident, we still don't know everything about it, but it has been pretty clear that these things were not in very good condition.
Now, if I look at the Soviet Union and the United States today, and the fact that the United States is on top, should I assume we did much better in our acquisition and information drain with Nazi scientists than the Soviet Union?
Well, I would say that's a part of it. I mean, we got Werner von Braun, who's actually a character in Seen by Moonlight. We put him in the book because he's such a fascinating character. But he ended up being very important to the brain trust at NASA. And, of course, obviously, anything as complex and long-ranging as the Cold War, it's hard to come up with a simple explanation for it. But if you just look at the way we we started playing catch up because the Soviets got into space first, but once we really committed to it and moved out of the experimental phase, I think we were much better built for success in the long run than they were, and I think the evidence bears that out. They won all the early rounds, but then we made it to the moon, and then the rest was history.
Interesting. So, can you expand on what, and I'm probably mispronouncing this, but what was going on at Peenemünde and Nordhausen, and how do you use these locations in your book?
Sure. In 1943, the Nazis really made a very large, very consequential strategic decision. They had been trying persistently for years to invade Russia, and were being rebuffed every time, by the winter, by just the sheer numbers advantage. And as they realized they were depleting their ground forces, they suddenly realized we're going to have to win with technology as well, not just with overwhelming force. So in 1943, they pulled a lot of scientists and engineers back from the front lines and started setting up these research laboratories. And Nordhausen and Peenemünde were both laboratories and factories where they were building the test models for these rockets. And so not only did the V-2 come out of that, but they were they were working on other secret projects that, like I said, were never completed. One of them that particularly struck Mr. Thomas and I was called the America rocket, which was a multi-stage rocket, which was almost, very, very new technology at the time, using a booster to get a smaller rocket up into the air. But this was going to be a manned, piloted missile, essentially, that was designed to fly from Germany to hit New York City. I mean, they were already designing what we know of today as ICBMs, and they were on the drawing board. But piloted by a person because they didn't have the guidance problem licked yet. So you think about the suicide pilots that the Japanese were using at Pearl Harbor. This was a suicide pilot who could have shot a missile right into the heart of any major city on the eastern seaboard. So really frightening stuff that they were working on there. And who knows in a few more months if they might have started getting beyond the drawing board with it.
Whenever, this is going to get really science fiction for 1 second. Whenever I watch shows about UFOs, they do reference Peenemünde. And there's always this picture going around, and I don't know how, if this has ever been proven to be a real picture or if it's just a picture for the purposes of television. But some people believe that Nazi scientists were working on anti-gravity hovercraft that by description would match the description of today's UFOs. Do you or did M.F. Thomas have an opinion on that?
Well, Mr. Thomas really didn't want to leave any stones unturned when he was doing the research that initially kind of informed this. And he sent me a lot of books on the topic that really speculate pretty broadly about some of that stuff. So, I might not have seen the specific picture you're referring to, but I have certainly read about people speculating on those experiments. And there's a lot less direct evidence for it, but it's the fact that they had sort of ambitions in so many different directions. And as we discuss in the book, they also were not only in the physical sciences, but in the mental sciences. Really, the story of our book involves not just the rocketry program, which was a very rudimentary space program, but also their experiments with psychic abilities, ESP, and their desires to develop them as part of their Superman idea of the Nazi people. And what we came up with in the book is really a strong union of those two things that we think makes really thrilling science fiction, but also kind of delves back into those areas because what I always find astonishing about the Nazis is that as historically noted as they were being obsessive about self-documenting, the filming, the records, the everything else to show off their strengths, in the closing days of the war, the feverish effort to destroy the evidence of what they had done, to destroy the records of what they were working on, means that for all we know, there's so much that we don't know and will never know, and we only have hints of. And I think it's very provocative stuff that leads people to wonder about things like that. And it also it's fertile ground for storytellers like MF and myself.
One of the theories that we actually had a gentleman on this show about a year ago, and one of the theories is that Adolf Hitler escaped to Argentina. Do you think there's any evidence of that?
You know what? I wouldn't want to speculate. I just don't, I can't claim to have researched it well enough. I know that there are a lot of people who speculate along those lines, saying that he escaped either to Argentina, South America is where a lot of Nazis who did escape ended up, or even other places. Hitler is sort of restricted to a cameo appearance in Seen by Moonlight. And, as far as what happened after that, there's a lot of people looking into it, and it's fascinating stuff. But I don't know that I'd feel qualified to render an opinion on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Now, as you just said earlier, and your book talks about Nazi psychics, and we know the CIA also used psychics here. In fact, the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats was based on that. Do these governments find that psychics have been useful to their objectives?
The thing is, it's the CIA is one of their fond mottos is that you're never going to hear about our victories, and so they tend to be pretty tight-lipped when it comes to the successes. And there are a couple of reasons that could be. One is it's hard to say if it works or if it doesn't work, and it's also that reputation can do a lot, and if you're not sure what they're capable of, then maybe you worry a little bit more. So, I haven't personally seen anything to suggest that the CIA has had any success in this regard. Like you said with that story, The Men Who Stare at Goats. it's certainly something they've been interested in order to gain an advantage. And I think we've seen in literature and in culture throughout, people have really wondered if there's another frontier in our own minds that could be developed and harnessed and put to use. And that sort of thing is all throughout Seeing by Moonlight. It's one of the main threads in the book.
And again, the book is Seeing by Moonlight by M.F. Thomas and Nicholas Thurkettle, and we're speaking with Nicholas Thurkettle right now. You can find out more information on his website, nicholasthurkettle.com. You know, we have Area 51 here in the United States, and many draw parallels to Peenemünde, for instance, in Nazi Germany. Do you think we would be shocked at the advancements that are going on there right now?
I think probably so. I mean, you know, these sites, these secret research facilities, I mean, they try and recruit the best, and they try and give people with a creative mind license to imagine the impossible and then really look into if it can be done. And you know, as people speculate about Area 51 and what's going on there, I mean, I think the one thing that can be agreed upon is that we don't know what's going on there, what they're building there, and even if it is just advanced aircraft, and you know, they have all the reason to try and keep the details of that secret. But of course, I think, you know, when it comes to the difference between what they're testing and what they're imagining and what they're actually putting out to the public eye, I think it would be pretty surprising.
Mm-hmm. Before you go, in closing, what are you working on right now that we can look forward to?
Oh, well, thank you. You know, Earbud Theater, obviously, we've got a schedule to put out about 18 episodes this year. So we're really excited about that. It's just going to be a great variety of audio drama. And it's all free and ad-free on iTunes. If you go to earbudtheater.com, you can learn more about that. I've got a short story collection that you mentioned called Stages of Sleep that should be out in a couple of months. This was one that I wrote myself without Mr. Thomas. And he and I are just about done with the first draft of our new novel. It's not a sequel to Seeing by Moonlight, although we hope we might be able to dig back into that someday and tell more stories in that world. But yeah, a new book called A Sickness in Time that should be out later this year as soon as we get it finished up, cleaned up, and ready for release.
Can you give us sort of a little sampling of what that might be about?
A Sickness in Time? Well, yes. We're not ready to share too many details yet, but as you might guess from the title, there is a time travel element involved, which is something we've been really excited to explore.
Well, that's right up my audience's alley, so we'll make sure to have you back on for that book.
Oh, fantastic. I'd love to.
And again, the book is Seeing by Moonlight by M.F. Thomas and Nicholas Thurkettle. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Oh, thank you for having me, Bruce. It's been a real pleasure.
Joining me this week is Brett Big Schwag Wagner and DeeDee Bigelow. They're both actors in Hollywood. Brett Wagner has also been a reality TV star, a TV host, a nationally syndicated radio host, a former pro wrestler, and an author. And DeeDee Bigelow, of course, several years ago now, she left Olympia, Washington, and ended up in Las Vegas, where she auditioned for a show called Surreal Life Fame Games, and she got in. And they filmed the show with Tracy Bingham, Vanilla Ice, and Vern Troyer, and she was right there with them. And then she went off to Hollywood, and since living in Hollywood, she's enjoyed fame on TV shows like CSI New York, Shark, and My Name is Earl. She was also in the movie Alien Armageddon, which in that movie there was the voice of George Norrie, the host of Coast to Coast AM. And she and Brett also created a short film called Miss Poppins. And I bet that has nothing to do with Disney. Brett and DeeDee, welcome to the Bruce Collins Show, or I should say welcome back.
Thank you, buddy. And most importantly, DeeDee Bigelow is my fiancée.
Excellent, and congratulations.
Yeah, let's not leave that part out.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, did you guys watch did you hear about the Oscar nominations tonight?
Yes, absolutely.
What did you guys make of it?
Different. I mean, I'm glad that American Sniper got nominated. I think that Clint Eastwood did a good job. But I'm a bit bummed that Angelina Jolie and Unbroken got nothing.
Yeah. What do you think?
They got snubbed at the Golden Globes, and now they got snubbed at the Oscars.
Yeah, I want to make a prediction, and this is way out there, but it's a little bit political, so you guys don't have to comment if you don't want. But interestingly enough, I was watching the news tonight, the national news about the Oscar nominations, and the way things are right now, it's very political. Everything is political. The cops now. There's an eye on the police forces all over the place. And the announcer, Bob Schieffer, the host of the CBS Evening News, says about the Oscar nominations, I believe it was the best actor or whatever it is, male actor or whatever. And he says, at the end, and they're all white. And I was thinking, I'm sure there is racism in Hollywood like there's racism in other places, in pockets here and there. But to even bring that up is almost race baiting. We have enough riots going on in this country, and I'm wondering if that's some kind of a theme that the news media will try to latch onto. I found it really weird that he would even imply that.
Was it CNN or was it just your local news?
CBS Evening News.
Really? I think it's if you watch TV now and you see all the folks that are on TV or in the movies, I mean, a lot of your leads are African American or Mexican American or Latinos. I mean, I don't think it's what it was 30 years ago. And
yeah.
A lot of your leads are African American in almost everything, and there's shows that are all African American. I don't see it that way, and I just see someone trying to make a little press.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You have to look at it this way. You've got your Oscar-nominated people like Viola Davis, who is on TV right now, How to Get Away with Murder. You've got Octavia Spencer, again, Oscar-nominated actress, also on a TV show right now. So, the Oscars are just movies. There is no TV involved. So, we've got big players doing TV. So, it is what it is when it comes to Best Actor,
Right.
I don't think you can just say, okay, well, we don't have this ethnicity nominated, so we got to nominate somebody. I mean, it's just the bottom line is it comes down to the movies and how good and who's the leads in the movie and or who's the supporting in the movie, and that's just the way it is. And other people just trying to stir up some nonsense.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I would say okay. When I first started acting, yes. And now, about 18 years ago was definitely predominantly Caucasian, white in the business. And if you were, African American or Latino, you were playing the supporting role or this and that. But, shoot, I play a lot of white trash drug dealer Nazis on TV and in the movies. So I get typecast and I don't care about it. So I make a living. It's fun. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked you guys that because you answered that even better than I could have answered that in a very precise and informative way. So, and from your perspective, I think that was really important. I met you through professional wrestling, and you were an awesome manager character in professional wrestling. And I know you did what we call in professional wrestling is taking bumps. But did professional wrestling help you with acting?
Absolutely. Anytime, I hosted a drag racing show for the last 5 years on Speed Channel called Pastime. Even that, whenever you're in front of the camera or you're in front of an audience and you're working the crowd, I mean, people don't understand, to get, I did a dark match for the WWF in San Jose, California, where some of your stomping grounds out that way, and I did a dark match, and 15,000 people, you got to get them to boo you. So, I mean, because I was a heel manager, so to be able to do that and then you get in a room with a casting director and there's maybe 3 or 4 people there. It's you know, you feel a little bit more at ease. If I can get 15,000 people to not like me, and I'm playing a bad guy character in front of 3 people, it seems pretty simple and easier. And yeah, I don't have a fear of people or auditions because of that wrestling background. It's helped me tremendously.
This question is for both of you. What would be a good way for our listeners to start if they wanted to start in acting?
That's a good question. Wherever you live, there's some sort of filming going on. You can always look up the film commissions in every state and every city. You're going to find stuff going on. Go ahead, Brett.
It's the way I look at it, Bruce. Every state there's not acting in every state. There's going to be local commercials in some states where you can get some local work doing local stuff, and they may have some TV shows filming. And the best bet is to, Google search, get into an acting class or improv class, see what you feel. I mean, even if it's local theater, if it's a local college that has an acting class. I mean, I went to Pierce, the wonderful Pierce College out here, and they had an acting class in that I took, as well as studying in Hollywood at some classes. So, I mean, the first thing is you got to get in, see if you really like it and if you can handle it. After that, like DeeDee said, you start looking up to see if there's an acting agency in town. If you want to get started doing some extra work, if someone's going to hire you, look see if there's an extra company out there that'll hire you. And from there, once you feel like this is something you want to do, you got to get some headshots done. And then eventually, if you're in a town or a state that doesn't have any kind of filming, then you got to move. I mean, it's just the bottom line. I mean, you got to get the credits. So, Los Angeles, but there's a lot more places. 20 years ago, there was 2 places you could act. There was L.A. and New York, and that was really it, unless you're just doing local theater, which is fine. But if you wanted to get in TV and film, you had to be in one of those 2 states. But now, it's all over. New Orleans, Louisiana, New Mexico, Michigan, Atlanta is huge.
Yeah.
In fact, DeeDee will tell you, because she gets angry about it, because a lot of the movies have left, all the big movies. I mean, we're starting to get them back in California, but Louisiana, Atlanta, even New York, and the East Coast, all these, even North Carolina, they give better tax breaks. So these film companies, they'll say they got $10 million to shoot a movie. Well, they're not going to shoot it in California because they're not going to get, more bang for their buck. They're going to go take a 40% tax break or a 30% tax break in Louisiana, or in some of these states like Michigan that has, 4 different seasons, and they'll just pick the right time to shoot there when they need it,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's gotten a lot better, but like I said, an acting class, see if you like it. You can go to local college, but usually there's going to be some kind of acting school somewhere in one state. But this is one thing. This is a key, and it happens a lot. There's a lot of places that are scams. Okay, when they get these young kids, and they get them in there, and they say, "Oh, look, we're a talent agency, we're a talent school and a modeling." And these people want to get their kids so bad into them, they'll spend $3,000 to send them to these schools, and then they'll promise them that there's going to be we're going to get you a manager afterwards. It's guaranteed. We're going to go to New York for these big, contests and all this, and that's all a scam. Don't ever pay. If you're going to go to an acting class and you're going to study 1 day a week, that's wonderful. Don't let someone rip you off and charge you $3,000 for some kind of program, because they do it all the time. All you got to do is look up, if you're going to join a school, just type it into Google and then put the name and then complaints. And it'll come up if they're a scam or not.
Which do you,
an acting class?
Yeah. Which do you think is a better tactic? For instance, nowadays things have changed. I mean, I have a day job and I've worked for the same company for many years, so I don't even know if I'd know what to do at this point. Gone are the days of bringing in a ink and paper resume. So I'm wondering, in acting, which would be more important? who you know? In other words, there are people getting jobs in other movies and other TV shows. Is it more important who you know at a certain point, or is it more important to knock on a lot of doors? Or is it a combination of the two?
Miss Bigelow, would you like to answer that?
I would like to answer that because I have the best answer. You know, it's not actually who I know; it's who knows me.
Yeah.
Because you know, I can say that I've met James Cameron, but James Cameron isn't going to hire me unless he knows me.
Yeah.
So it isn't really about who I know; it's who knows me, and that means networking and knocking on doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. You've got to get out there and you've got to talk to people and you've got to talk to, you know, other big actors that are working, and it's all about networking and who knows you.
You got to have no shame in this game, okay? You can't be, I can't go ask that person. I mean, DeeDee, I always have headshots in my car. DeeDee always has her business cards. It doesn't matter if we run into somebody, and you know, I will gladly go. And DeeDee's very no shame to go run up and give her business card to any big director, and you got to know who's who. You know, imdb.com is a website for actors and everything else, and it tells you what they've been in, who their agents are, and everything like that. So, believe me, if I go in for an audition for something and I get a call back, I'm going to look up the page on the show or the movie, see who's directing it. Make sure I know some of the stuff that he's done. So if I do get an off chance he's in there, I can say, hey, I really loved, you know, sometimes they say, oh, great, thank you. You liked the movie? Yes, I did, you know.
Yeah.
You got to know who's who, and it helps. And you got to have no shame. So, you know, when I was a kid, I wouldn't do that when I first started acting. But now it's like, look, I want to be able to work. You know, our director who directed The Crazy, Brett Eisner, you know, I'd love to be. I still email him time to time to stay in touch because the guy's a big director. You know, you never know when he's going to have a part for me, or you never know what restaurant you're going to be at and someone's going to be, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you real quick, I did a small movie called Mr. Nice Guy with James Gandolfini. It was some kid at USC, dad had a lot of money. They hired a big casting director. It was for his thesis or whatever, his graduating project at USC for film school. And here I am working with Tony Soprano. He just finished filming True Romance, so I don't think anybody really knew who he was. And the casting director was like, oh, this guy's going to be big. And we both played cops. And, but I stayed friends with him, and he used to come to a bar in Hollywood I worked called Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And I always stayed friends with him, man. And I had his cell number, and I'd call him, and he'd go, what are you doing working at a bar? I'm like, well, why don't you get me a gig? And so a couple different times, I think on Crimson Tide, he called me. I couldn't get out of work. He said, look, if they want to, he started with Flat Top. He's like, we need some sailors, you know, some submarine guys. And, you know, I can get you a gig for a week or so. And I couldn't get out of my other job to go do it. But it's stuff like that. You know, you got to stay friends with everybody. You got to hustle. Unless, you know, and I'd like to say some people have these stories where it comes and they just, you know, wow, somebody's a relative or somebody, they were discovered and they start working the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but that's a very small percentage, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you look in the acting business, less than 5% of actors that are in the business, I think it's 5%, actually work and make their insurance. Because if you work enough hours, you make your insurance. So out of all the people you know that are actors, only 5% are actually making a living. Other people have other jobs, and so it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true of writers too. I've heard that there's like 100,000 books that come out every year, but there's only a handful of writers that actually do that full time. Now, of course, Brett, you've been in movies like The Crazies, you were in Bicentennial Man, and on and on and on, and you've been on all kinds of television programs, even a show that I'm going back and watching on Netflix streaming for some reason, Sliders. You're in season 3. But so you've been on all these.
That was one of my first acting gigs.
Yeah, you've been on all these shows. You were the voice of Monster Garage. You were the host of Pastime on the Speed Channel, and you wrote an obscure book, by the way. And so you've done all these things. But what do people mostly recognize you for? Is it pastime?
Wow, that's, yeah, I would think it's, I travel a lot and make a lot of appearances because of Monster Garage and Pastime. So, I started testing the waters when I was on Monster Garage and seeing if I could get booked at bike rallies,
Mm-hmm.
because of the mystique of Jesse James in our show. And I started, 15 years ago, making appearances at bike rallies, and then the drag racing came into play, and I started making appearances on the drag racing end of things. And then you start doing some horror movies, some scary stuff, and then I started making some appearances at all the sci-fi and horror movie conventions. So it just depends. Some people, I got an MMI commercial, Motorcycle Mechanics Institute commercial. It's been running for 3 years, right? So those strangest people come up and say, "Hey, man, I saw your gut hanging out on the MMI commercial," which they made me tuck in my shirt, which wasn't a good deal. But yeah, so I would think it's Pastime or Monster Garage. I mean, some people. I was on Hannah Montana and a lot of Disney shows.
Yeah.
For some reason, they like to hire me because, I think when you do a kids TV show or film, you got to be very animated, very pro wrestler-ish.
Yeah.
So I somehow have that down, so it kind of works really well for the kids stuff. But yeah, it is what it is. It's a tough road. It's a tough business.
Absolutely. Last question, and then I want to make an announcement at the end of this. But what actors do you two admire? I mean, is there anyone that you, not necessarily that you want to pattern after yourself, because I imagine you want to kind of be genuine. I would think it would be hard. Although I've always wondered if Christian Slater was acting like Jack Nicholson. But anyway, what actors do you admire? I guess the quality of their work.
DeeDee?
For me, I'm just a huge Michelle Rodriguez fan. I love the strong woman, the woman that, the action woman that does her own stunts and all that kind of stuff. I just love action, and I love to do that stuff myself. So, Michelle Rodriguez, I'm a big Angelina Jolie fan.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved her in Tomb Raider, and that's what Miss Poppins is sort of based off of Tomb Raider a little bit, at least her outfit and stuff. So, I like both of those girls.
Wow. I'm older. So I'm 47 years old, so I really like the old stuff, man. I like, movies from the 60s and 70s, and I like, the On the Waterfront and stuff like that. So I like old actors. Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
Most people, cause, look, I'm a biker, right? I'm an actor. I'm all this, but I'm just a redneck biker. So when I tell people I like Edward G. Robinson, they go, "What?" Some of them don't even know who Edward G. Robinson is. So, but those are the guys I like. Am I ever going to be those guys? No. Am I ever going to be able to, have that acting chops like they have? No. But what's good is there's still, for character actors like myself and DeeDee, there's still a lot of roles out there for us. And, like I said, we don't look at ourselves as actors. I look at myself as an entertainer, because if I say I'm just an actor, I do so much other stuff, and you limit yourself. So in this business, you got to do everything. If something sticks, man, then that's great. But you throw everything up against the wall. Like you and me have known each other for years. We wrote a book together. We've done radio together. I've done wrestling for you. We do everything, and you have to do everything. And God bless you if something hits and you take off and get on a TV show for 3 or 4 years, or you get on a nationally syndicated radio show and it goes for 3 or 4 years. You just got to do everything, and hopefully something will stick. And hopefully you'll make a living at it. It's tough.
Yeah.
Being an actor's tough, I'm lucky I'm a spokesperson for a couple companies, Bad Boy Mowers out of Batesville, Arkansas for 11 years, and a couple other companies that, I work with time to time, and I'm just blessed and lucky about it. And, me and DeeDee are in it for the long haul as far as being entertainers, and you just got to stick it out and work and work and work.
Yeah, well, when you consider how many millions of people are on this planet, and I don't even know how many. But so I won't be giving that answer tonight. But when you consider how many people are on this planet and they don't get to do the things that they love to do, you are blessed. I mean, I do this radio show and I'm not making money on it, but I love it. I mean, it's something that I love to do. And fortunately, my life affords me the opportunity to do that. And I'm going to take advantage of it and live it up, enjoy that, because ever since I was on Monster Radio, something clicked where it was like, I thought being a professional wrestling promoter was going to be the hobby that I love to do outside of work, and it really wasn't. And then I thought writing was going to be it, and I just didn't have the desire to write some big long novel or something like that. But the radio stuff, it's just like when I got there, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so you might as well pursue it. And if young people today are wanting to get into acting, I don't think it's bad to, have some kind of grounding where you also have an education in something else, or you're doing a side job or something like that. But it's great to pursue things that you love to do, because there's no better reward than actually doing what you want to do. The icing on the cake is any kind of money you derive from that. But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, the key to life. Let me tell you, this is the key to life: being happy.
Yeah.
So whatever job, it doesn't matter if you're, picking up garbage, raking leaves, mowing lawns, whatever it is. If you're happy at it, let me tell you something. That is the key to life and being happy.
Yep.
That is the key to life, just being happy. I love being an entertainer. I love traveling. I love going to all the appearances and shows in different states, and I love seeing my wife-to-be getting acting gigs and doing her thing, and it's great, and we love doing it together, and we're blessed.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy. It's never going to be easy. I can't tell you how many jobs I've had over the years.
Yeah.
It's not, and I still take jobs. I still go work a bar time to time to fill in for somebody because I need some money to pay a bill. It's
Right.
just it's a never-ending struggle, and all I can say is save your money. And but if it doesn't matter what job it is, if you're happy and you like it, then you're blessed.
You just jogged my memory about a kind of a funny story, and it's actually the first time I ever met you face to face. Actually, I think I've only met you face to face once, now that I think about it.
I think you did.
But so I was picking up all these people at the airport, all these wrestlers who were coming in at different times, and my mom calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, Brett Wagner or Big Schwag, I forget what she said. There's somebody at the airport that needs to be picked up." So I dropped off whoever it was that was in my car, and I headed all the way back to the airport. And I'm thinking, how am I going to, I think I had seen a picture of you, but I'm thinking, how am I going to recognize you? And so I walked into the airport where the luggage goes around that carousel. And there was about 3 or 4 guys hanging around this really tall guy who was carrying on a conversation with all 4 of these people. And I was thinking, that's got to be Brett Wagner. And you recognized me because I had a WWE jacket on, I think. But yeah, you're meant to do that. I mean, that's inside of you, in your DNA, to do that kind of a thing.
That's just
well, you're a people person.
So go ahead, buddy.
Okay. I said you're a people person. Anyway, so
Yeah.
Before you guys go, and I've taken up quite a bit of time. Sorry about that. Before you guys go, we wanted to let people know that you guys are going to be back in the upcoming weeks to do some movie reviews for the Bruce Collins Show. We got to jazz up this show here, so we want to have you guys back every once in a while to talk about some kind of new movie that you've seen.
Sounds awesome, man. We're excited. And the good thing about that is we don't always see eye to eye on movies. So
Excellent.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
you might hear some fisticuffs in the background, but we will always do our best to give you an honest opinion from Hollywood's newest middle-aged power couple.
Well, as long as we hear the fisticuffs, since it's radio, we can't actually see them, but you could just make some sound
You'll hear it.
Excellent. Brett Wagner, DeeDee Bigelow, thank you before you go, talk about Miss Poppins. Are you still trying to get this into theaters and all of that?
I think that our Miss Poppins Film Festival run is about run out, and I think that you'll be able to, everyone nationwide will be able to see it on YouTube real soon.
Excellent. Great.
Yeah.
Well, DeeDee and Brett, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah, we can't wait to be back on.
Great.
Thank you, Bruce Collins. You're a scholar and somewhat of a gentleman.
Thank you. Okay, we're all set.